Then he puts up the 90% mages and shows it's only 383 DPS, and the 95% elemental shaman are very comparable to the 90% elemental shaman are very comparable to the 90% of mages. So closing the gap and doing a little bit more effort, you can do just as much as a mage, and I think this is what the point he's trying to make here in this point, correct?
Yes, and another point that you also have to think about is that there is a lot more mages than there are elemental shamans. So the competition, while it does it also kind of has a flip side. There's less competition, so the numbers aren't as impressive. But you have to think about that since there's just so many more mages. We're talking like probably 100,000 more. Like there's just thousands more mages than elemental shamans. So to get to those 95% parses of elemental shaman are actually not that hard. As long as you are putting in the work, you getting your buffs and you're getting your consumes, that is not hard to do.
Because I think the way to kind of think about this is that elemental shaman, it already takes kind of special person to be that, I think, and being able to go the extra 10% or whatever, how many percent it would take to compete. So if you're doing that, you can already do better than mages in most guilds, because mages aren't. I feel like, and this is a very broad characterization, but I feel like mages are just kind of like, yeah, we know we're going to do X amount of DPS, and we're just going to do that, you know? Where I feel like an elemental shaman, you know, someone who plays that class and picks that class is kind of the person who's like, I need to show up a little bit and do a little bit more extra. You can easily do that with the knowledge and the world buffs and the consumables, correct?
Yes, so it is a good way of saying is that mages, if mages don't have to put in as much effort to do about the same amount as DPS as the elemental shaman, putting in that extra work. So, as it says, like the elemental shaman is definitely going to need to take some work to be able to do comparable damage to mages and warlocks, other casters in your raid. So, but if you can do that, you can definitely have very comparable, if not better, DPS than a lot of your casters in your raid right now.
Right. Right. And then the second most important reason being a shaman is that you'll bring more support to the raid than mages or warlocks ever could in most situations. I mean, depending on what group you're in, you can throw down Wind Fury Totem. Everybody knows what that does. 20% chance for an extra melee attack. Your melee are going to love you for that. Grace of Air, if you're in a hunter group, or if you magically have the mana to totem twist, you can also throw down Grace of Air. You have resistance totems. You have disease and poison cleansing totems. You have Chromag. You have grounding totem, which will soak up Nefarian's bolt if he's actually, during phase 1 of Nefarian. I use that all the time. Tremor totem, obvious reasons you're going to use it for. You're going to use it for obviously Ani and Nef, like all these fights that have kind of fear. You can battle res yourself. That doesn't cost the raid anything. As long as your cooldown's off on reincarnation, you can come back to the battle. And sometimes you're going to want to strategically do that. We'll get to that in a second. Well, later in the guide, excuse me, not a second. And then finally, you can heal. Mages and warlocks can't, right? And since you're stacking spell power, your heals are not as great as the resto shaman, but you're still going to be able to put more effective heals out in the situation. So you bring much more support utility than a mage or warlock could. Anything you would like to add to that?
Okay, absolutely. So, a couple things. So, we did forget one totem in this little guide is the Tranquil Air. So, ideally, you want to be put in a warlock group, a group of 4 warlocks, and then you yourself. The reason being is that later on in the phases, even just kind of starting right now, warlocks are starting to bring up some numbers, and they don't have any threat reduction as well as us. So, I find myself being threat capped with a lot of my tanks before Thunder Fury. And that 20% on Tranquil Air is very, very important, not only for you, but for your warlocks to do that. Just 20% more DPS over 5 people is insane. Over like the greatest example I can give to bringing a shaman to raid is that instead of bringing 5 warlocks, you can bring 4 warlocks and 1 elemental shaman. So you have 4 warlocks doing 100% of their damage versus 5 warlocks doing 80% of their damage. See how there's like 20% across? It's like you're basically missing a whole warlock, and you can just have another elemental shaman that can heal, that can put other totems down. It's just makes sense.
So this is a really interesting point, because I myself and Orchid made this point months before Classic came out about this exact thing. We said, you have 5 warlocks in a group, they actually have to cut their DPS down to 80% of what they could produce. You throw an elemental shaman in there, now they can go 100% balls to the wall, and the shaman's producing DPS. And if you add that all together, that group's doing more DPS than if it was just 5 warlocks. And we were talking about that for months. But we actually went on we actually did a thing in Countdown to Classic podcast about this specific thing, and it's great to hear that there's actually support for that hypothesis. So that's really, really awesome, dude. That's really great.
Funny enough, I actually did get it from you guys, but
oh, nice.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's just like you don't want to be in a Wind Fury totem group or even Grace of Air, because if you're putting down totems for a melee group, that means you're going to be closer to the raid. That being said, Wind Fury is far more important than what you can do. Wind Fury is insane.
Oh,
so if you're going to be in the Wind Fury group, yes, you do have to be in there. You got to watch your DPS just a little bit so you don't pull aggro. But if you're in a group that has to put Grace of Air, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But no, like every other totems are that's what a shaman is. They have their totems. Totems are so imperative to our gameplay and how we go about everything. So having that threat totem for the whole group, and then also that mana regen is for them as well, so they don't have to tap as much. It's a great thing to have. And then the last point with the healing. It's very important to know that yes, you can heal, but you are coming to the raid as a DPS, not a healer. Believe in your healers to do their job, and they'll believe in you to do your job as a DPS. That being said, if there is a bad pull and like if some healers die and you guys are struggling, absolutely stop damaging and start healing. Absolutely, don't let your raid die, because the more of your raid die, the less buffs they have. The less buffs they have, the less damage they do. The less damage they do, the longer the fights. The longer the fights, that means you're doing less damage overall. So you want your raid to carry you. So that's how you do higher damage, so that the raid kills shit faster. Excuse my language.
No, it's fine. You can. It's totally fine. You can say what you want. Yeah. So that's great. That's great to know. There's a lot of good information here. I just love the fact that we can bring a lot of people to and that's really makes this really special.
Absolutely.
Okay, race and profession selection. So obviously, if you're new to Classic WoW, you may not know this, but there's only one race in Classic WoW that produces any caster-type DPS boost in that control. Berserking is...
Horde side.
Horde side, right. Horde side. You know, when we get to TBC, Draenei have some specialty, but that's the TBC. So for now, on this side of the game, you only have one choice, really, if you want to optimize your DPS as a elemental shaman, and that's going to be Troll. You know, for PvP, of course, Orcs and Taurens have their usefulness with stun resistance and with War Stomp EM combos or War Stomp heal combos. But if you're going to specifically be going to try to parse, you know, that's what you're going to be going Troll, correct? I mean, there's really no other option.
Funny you say that, because I actually played Tauren myself.
Oh, you did play? I was going to ask if you played. Yeah.
So, the race, yes, Troll is you're going to get that tiny edge with the berserking talents. That being said, it's not detrimental. So play what you want. Honestly, I played Tauren because of the War Stomp. The Elemental Mastery, Chain Lightning to Earthshock batching combo is so insane for Tauren. Or obviously Orcs having the stun resistance for PvP. Obviously, I'm talking in the PvP sense. There's some case in PvE where War Stomp can help an AoE pack, because you can just stun the whole pack, then stop damage for 2 seconds for all. Yeah. So play what you want. Don't assume that you have to play Troll because you want to be the absolute very best. Don't do that, because there's top players that do not play Troll. There's tons of Orc Shamans. There's tons of Tauren Shamans in the Discords. Don't be pressured to play Troll, but just that being said, if you want like every single bit you can get out of a class, play Troll.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, I totally agree with you, because I play Orc, right, and I heal on Resto, and there's no benefit to playing Orc as a Resto Shaman at all, but I play it because I like it, right? So that's another thing too, is that I know people like this. You're looking at your character model constantly, right? And if you're not happy with what you're seeing, or you're not happy with the animations, then play what you want to play, right? I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Truly, the most damage that you get out of the class is the prep work that you do before raids. That's what you're gonna, not because you're playing Troll or Tauren or Orc. You do whatever you want, but I will say, as a note, Troll, yes, is the best.
Yeah, technically, right? Because of berserking. Would you say that there's kind of like a strategy to get yourself at lower health to pop berserking?
There are some cases, like say in Molten Core, you can just stand in the lava for a little bit on Baron Geddon. There's definitely and even on Ragnaros, there's some instances where you can reduce or you take some help, or he takes some damage to get that better berserking.
Yeah.
But there's some fights that do raid-wide damage, say like Fire Maw or Veil, so you can just take damage a little there and then pop it at a certain point before you get healed, and then you'll get a little bit of a boost. Reliably on every single fight, not to my knowledge, other than using a Dark Ring, but you want to save that for generating mana.
Right, so I guess if we don't have this in slide, so people don't know what we're talking about. The ratio is dependent upon your current critical health pool. So if you're at, like, you can get up to 30% increased haste. So, at full health is 10%. So you can get down to 30%. So what my question is, I don't play Troll. I don't know if you know this, but does Berserking work on the HP that you have when you popped it, or is it like, does it change your haste if you get healed? Is I guess what I'm trying to say, during its duration.
So, from my knowledge, it's from when you pop it, your health pool at that point, that's what it stays at. So you can get healed afterwards, but if you pop it at like 30% health, it stays at 30% haste for the duration, to my knowledge.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know either. So I was just thinking about this as we're talking about it. Like, I never really actually thought about that. It just goes to show you that this game never ceases to amaze you, or there's always things you can always ask. So engineering, being that we want to optimize our DPS, the only profession that allows you to do that is engineering. And you want to bring sapper charges, grenades, dynamites, and all those things for AoE fights, right? And that's required by pretty much all. I know Onslaught requires all their members to be 205. What's it, 205 engineering? Yeah.
Yes, the 205 even my guild requires it as well, even for some alts. And there's also trinkets that also help. There's the battle chicken that you can pop and then put your normal trinket on if you're in the melee group. That can help out the melee. The engineering is so broken in Classic that you honestly should not be any other profession other than engineering when you're playing pretty much any class if you're going to be looking to either raid or PvP.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best profession in the game, for sure. So yeah, if you want to top the charts, you're going to need engineering. So your second profession is basically only locked up when you have your Bloodvine set, because you need 300 tailoring to get that 2% crit bonus, right, from the Bloodvine set. So you kind of have to be a tailor if you want that 2% crit. How valuable is that 2% crit, would you say?
Honestly, 2% isn't much, but as if you're going to be playing the elemental class as it is, you definitely want to get as much as possible. So that 2% can vary between, say, I don't know, like 12 to 16 spell power overall, but it is still going to be substantial over the long run, because you're going to be using that Bloodvine set for a good long while. No, that set is insane. It's actually insane. So I might as well get that little extra bit because you're going to be using it. You're not going to be wanting to make money on your elemental shaman, so that's the only downside with having your two professions locked up. So if you can find a reliable way with like maybe an alt or some other way of making money, do that. And you have these two professions to increase your damage in raid as an elemental shaman.
Yeah, just roll a mage, right?
Honestly, I just finished my mage. I'm gonna start boosting people. I'm gonna make so much.
There you go, dude. Yeah, you can make so much money as a mage. It's ridiculous. God, mages have. They really have a lot of benefits.
Yes, and that being said, we're not completely hopeless when it comes to making money. At least right now, we can definitely do like Daramal East runs. We can, as we're farming our demonic runes in Ajara or Feltwood, we can get Felt Clots, we can get world drops, we can get just raw gold from just drops. So there's still ways to just make gold as a shop. I would recommend finding superior ways in the long run, but just because you have your two professions locked up doesn't mean that you're going to be hopeless. So definitely use these professions to your advantage.
That's true. That's basically how I make all my money, is either by picking up herbs or by, when I farm my demonic runes, just selling Felt Cloth and stuff like that. That's exactly what I do. Okay, so when you hit phase 5, you get your three-piece tier 2.5, and that'll kind of take over the Bloodvine after that, right? After that, you can open up your second profession. Would you say?
Yes, but the problem with that is that 2.5 is kind of shared with some of those quote-unquote real specs. So it's going to be a little bit hard-pressed to get some of those 2.5 pieces.
Yeah.
Definitely if your guild prioritizes like the other classes on the same one, which I believe includes warriors. So you're gonna be a little bit hard pressed, but if you can get your hands on a few of those pieces, depending on what pieces you have, you would want to replace, like say you want to get like the helm, shoulders, chest, or whatever combination, you want to plan out which ones you want to get beforehand so you can tell your guild, yeah, I want these 3 pieces.
Okay, good. All right, talents. So the way this talent portrait in front of you guys, the ones that are red are required. Okay, those are the ones you need. For obvious reasons, we'll go into why. And then the green ones are kind of up to you. Is that kind of what you guys are trying to do?
Yeah, so this one can be a little bit confusing, so I'll go ahead and explain it.
Sure.
So yes, the red are absolutely mandatory. The reds are going to increase your damage from your basic rotation, not including any totem with fire totems damage, but like just your chain lightning, your lightning bolts, and what have you. Yes, the red are completely mandatory. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. You must get these. Now with the greens, it can get a little bit tricky. So there is a better option for like straight PvE. Like for example, you have Elemental Warding and Call of Flame in the second tier of Elemental. Those two, in particular, the Elemental Warding can help you out pretty significantly in raids because you get up to 12% reduced fire, frost, and nature damage, which can save your life. Which, if it saves your life, that means it saves your buffs, which increases your damage over the long run. So anything to help your survivability is definitely nothing to like scoff about. That being said, I don't take those talents. I actually use Call of Flame, the 3/3 Call of Flame, which increases your damage from fire totems, which if you want to put out a Fire Nova totem in an AoE pack or like Magma right afterwards just to get that most AoE damage you can. And then I also, which is kind of controversial, I do the Eye of the Storm, which is in the 4th. So the 4th is strictly PvP. I'm not even going to butter it up. That is strictly for PvP. It has definitely helped me out, and like if I'm getting ganked with world buffs, it's definitely helped me out because I can actually like heal myself and kill somebody. But it just kind of goes to show is that all of these in the green are completely mandatory, or optional.
Right.
You do not need them. So I hold myself on this one is that once I hit 60, I have not respec one single time since I hit 60. I've had the same spec since the beginning.
This build, just sorry to interrupt. This build is, I think, is the most versatile build in the entire game out of any other class. You can do everything with this build.
You really can.
You can heal, you can PvP, you can DPS, you can dungeon DPS, you can farm. I made a video on this because of that fact. Like, it's such a powerful spec.
And that's what like a lot of people like Elemental Shamans, and they're scared to play Elemental Shaman and raid and get that gear to, be better. But like you can truly like have such a very versatile spec choice of all your talents, and then still be able to heal, DPS, and all that. So truly, like just make sure you get the red the talents, but the green is completely up to you.
Yeah, for sure. And let's just go through the red one. So Concussion and Convection in tier 1 increases your damage by your nature spells and lightning spells and shocks by 5%, and decreases their mana costs. Obviously, that's pretty required and obvious. Elemental Focus. I mean, you get a 10% chance of getting a free cast. That's great. My only question is, obviously this is not going to proc when you want it to, right? So if Chain Lightning is on cooldown, do you kind of wait for it to come off cooldown, or you just kind of go with rotation? Would you say?
So the rule of thumb is that if it's not off cooldown, but it's 0.5 seconds later, like if the cooldown for your chain line is 0.5, as specific as it is, 0.5 seconds later, yes, it is better to stop casting and wait for chain lightning. Other than that, just do a rank 10 lightning bolt if it's on cooldown.
Got it. In the same tier, Call of Thunder increases your chance to crit by 6%. You do not want to pass up on this. Storm's Reach increases your was it 6 yards, I believe. So yes. How important is this, honestly?
This one is probably the least mandatory of them all. Mm-hmm. I will still say, in my opinion, that it is mandatory because this one helps you with positioning your character. So 6 yards, while it may not seem like a whole lot, it can allow you to stand further away. It can help you attack get more lightning bolts off a running target. it can help you out in some regard. A lot of times not, but just having that 6 yards can definitely help you out, both in PvE and definitely even in PvE if you plan on using it. So I would definitely take it. And it's only 2 points.
That's a good point. That's a good point. The only alternative I would think about those 2 points are putting them in improved fire totems. But again, that's if you're just doing PvE stuff. I think that's why you would put 2 points in there. But again, having those extra 6 yards in a PvE encounter in a raid sometimes can be very, very beneficial too. So it's up to you on that one, in my opinion. Elemental Fury increases your critical strike damage was 50% to 100%. So if you guys don't know, in Classic WoW, spell crits only do 150%, not double damage. So melee hits do, but spells don't. This allows you. So let's say your average lightning bolt damage is 1,000. If your crit would be 2,000. So why would you not get that? I have no idea, but definitely get that. And then before we get to Elemental Mastery, Lightning Mastery decreases your cast time by 1 second for your Chain Lightning and Lightning Bolt, bringing your Lightning Bolt down to 2 seconds, Chain Lightning down to 1.5 seconds. This does not affect the spell coefficient. This is a clear. This will literally increase your DP now. This is what yeah, absolutely. And then EM. Let's talk about EM. So if people don't know, what's the little weird wonky thing about EM in Classic WoW?
So it's actually kind of funny. This spell is. It wasn't as popular that I know is at the very start of Classic, because a lot of people thought that in the restoration to the nature swiftness would be superior because you get an instant cast spell. It's just better. Now there's a lot of little things about Elemental Mastery that some people may not know that may not be intended at the time, but since it's Classic, they're keeping it as what's the word, as classic as possible. Yeah. Is that with Elemental Mastery, there's a little thing called batching. So if you use Elemental Mastery with, say, Chain Lightning, and you are also in range to use a shock spell, specifically Earthshock, you can actually use both spells. If you cast Earthshock right as the Chain Lightning goes off, you can have both of them benefit from Elemental Mastery. That means both of them will crit, both of them will be free. That is insane.
Yeah, this talent right here is like, oh my god, especially if you're the PvP encounter when you just blow someone up with a Chain Lightning and Earthshock combination, dude. It's
you're telling me as I play the Tauren, like War Stomp into Elemental Mastery, Chain Lightning, Earthshock, I one-shot so many people, even warriors. It's insane.
Oh, and if you have a Fire Nova down too at the same time, and they all kind of hit, oh god, yeah, it's just so much damage. So as you said, EM is definitely better. Like you said, if it wasn't because of that batching, there'd be a different conversation here. But it's definitely an amazing.
Now I do want to go in just a little bit that since there might be a few people that are still kind of on the fence about it because they still think like, oh, with the Nature Swiftness you can have an instant heal to save you or a tank real quick, or you still have like an instant cast spell. Now, the biggest problem that shamans will go down to, and a lot of people already know this, is that mana is an issue. Now, if you have that instant cast spell, whether it be Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt or whatever, sure, you get that increased damage for that spell. But you also have to realize that it's not free, and it will not crit. So you have to realize that having Elemental Mastery is better for your damage, and just overall, like there's so many more applications for Elemental Mastery, whereas Nature Swiftness it can be helpful. It can be. But I think in a little less situation. It's more situational.
Right. So my question with EM and Storm's Rage is they're kind of contradictory in a way, because don't you want to optimize EM and get that shock damage out as well with it in the raid?
While yes, you kind of want to position yourself close enough anyway. So
right.
If let's say the Storm Reach is kind of more, and that's why I was saying it's not as mandatory, but it's going to be for those fights where you're going to be moving around. There's going to be mobs that are going to be moving around. It's going to be for those times where you want to have that little extra range just in case.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because
but otherwise you want to be 20-yard range because of EM, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And that being said, you don't. There's not going to be a whole lot of times where you don't have to be in shock range. So yes, for Elemental Mastery, it is beneficial to use a shock with Elemental Mastery batching, but that is not that you shouldn't go out of your way to spend that time to run up and get into range and then like waste a lot of that time, because you want to be casting constantly.
Correct. Okay. Let's move on to Restoration, which you're really only doing for 2 reasons. So basically, in my opinion, in Tier 1, I personally would probably go with a decreased mana cost, because if you're going to have to use as an elemental shaman, they least in my experience, it's because of an emergency situation. And the 5 points in improved healing wave does not affect lesser healing wave, which is going to be your emergency heal. What do you feel about that?
I completely agree. So, that again, these are definitely mandatory. These kind of go back and forth, like with a lot of. We have a discussion on this a lot in the Discord. The idea that the reason why I go with Tidal Focus, the mana reduction, is that when I heal, as you said, it is more of an emergency, so I'll have to either lesser heal or specifically to raid heal. So that's usually when a healer's died, there's a lot of raid-wide damage going on. So chain heal doesn't benefit from the improved healing wave. The 5% on Tidal Focus does. So I find myself chain heal spamming or specifically healing a tank with lesser healing until they're like full. So they want to top them off as best I can, and then I go into healing wave if I absolutely need to, but I think I find more benefit from Tidal Focus.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Again, it's up to you, but I totally agree with So tier 2, the default here is to put 4 points in Totemic Mastery, Totemic Focus, which reduces your mana cost for all your totems by, I believe, 5% per rank. And then Imp Reincarnation. I mean, you could put 5 points in here. You can put 1 point in Imp Reincarnation and 5 points into Totemic Focus. It really depends on your raid right here. I mean, like, how often do you wipe? How many shamans are there, kind of thing.
Pretty much, and I wouldn't really be thinking of Reincarnation as a raid wipe mechanic, unless you are in a guild that does. I would be using it as you're saying, where we'll talk about it a little later on, as actual DPS increase. So that's kind of goes into the more advanced things, which we'll go into later, but that's something to consider. That being said, I actually have 1 point in myself. That would be one thing I would change if I were to respec, which I'm trying to hold out as best I can just for the fun of it.
Yeah, no,
but
that's awesome.
Because if you think about it, Totemic Focus with 5% off. So let's say a very important totem that we have to put down is Mana Spring Totem. 5% off. So with those 5 points in, my totem costs 75 mana. That's not a lot. You're gonna save like maybe upwards of 5 mana.
Yeah,
per,
that's a good point.
So it's not crazy. Of course, you can kind of like say like, oh, every mana can matter because once you get like you could get that little bit of mana could have meant you being able to cast one more lightning bolt, which is actually pretty substantial. So I will say that having improved Reincarnation 2 points in that is probably the better choice instead of having 5 points in Totemic Focus. Again, it's all preference.
Yeah, good point. So tier 3, you're gonna put 1 point to Totemic Mastery because that increases all your friendly totem ranges at 30 yards. No brainer, especially if you are moving around a lot. Now, Nature's Guidance. This is a great talent. Increases all spell and melee hit by 3%. You definitely want this because the hit cap for casters is about 16%. Getting any hit you can from talents is definitely worth it, and I would definitely put points in here. And then and then, of course, you have the most important one here, Call of Thunder, which increases your crit by another 5%. So that's 11% from talents. Huge.
Yes, it is. Actually, I would argue that Nature's Guidance is more important than Tidal Mastery. That being said, Tidal Mastery is still very, very, very good to have. That 5%, along with a lot of the other talents that you have, and as well as having that increased crit damage, it's very, very good to have. Both the Tidal Mastery 5 points and Nature's Guidance 3 points. Both are very good.
Yeah, and as an aside, you also get 5% healing crit from that talent as well. So in case you do have to heal, it's a little bonus to that too. So that's always nice. I love this build. God, it's so good. Any variation, like either 30-0-20, 30-0-21, or 31-0-20. Like I think that it is literally to me the most amazing spec in the game because it has implications for every part of WoW, in my opinion.
It really does.
Yeah.
And that's just the power of playing an Elemental Shaman, that you really can do anything with this.
Yep, absolutely. You can make a few changes here and there depending on what you want to really focus on, but still, it's just an amazing spec. Okay, the 3 rotations. And we're gonna get into how to optimize this and how to decide what rotation we're going to be using with an amazing spreadsheet they developed. But let's go into the nitty-gritty here. So there are 3 different rotations you can use, and this will create 2 breakpoints depending on fight length. This is very important for stat weights and understanding which items to use as well. So I just want to bang home here, you should always use your rune and mana pot on CD. You want to make sure you have as much mana as possible, but the goal to end the fight is with 0% mana left. Why is that?
if you're ending the fight with say like 30% mana, like just like, oh, I used a lot of my mana, but there's still 30% left. That's 30% of your mana that could be used as damage. Now, the best way that we can DPS is using Rank 10 Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning on cooldown. Now, Chain Lightning is very mana inefficient, but it's very good at dealing damage because it's faster cast time and does typically more damage than Lightning Bolt. So, if you're having 30% left over, that means that's 30% of your mana that did not go into them. That can be like 50 points of DPS. Like, that can be substantial, truly. So you want to be able to put out as much as you can with the mana pool that you do have.
Correct. And just to talk about Chain Lightning, so the Chain Lightning is a faster cast time, so its coefficient is smaller than Lightning Bolt. However, it does more base damage. So, and it has a quicker cast time, like I said before, so that's the only thing. DPS is higher. Theoretically, there is a point where Lightning Bolt will do more damage than Chain Lightning, but you need so much spell power to get there. I think I did the math on this. It's like 1,000 spell power, something like that, which is unobtainable with Classic WoW. So don't worry about that. Chain Lightning will always do more damage. Well, always do more damage on average than Lightning Bolt. If Lightning Bolt crits and Chain Lightning doesn't, obviously Lightning Bolt will do more damage than Chain Lightning. But what they're trying to say here is that the optimal rotation is Lightning Bolt, Lightning Bolt, Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning. The reason because of this is clear that this Chain Lightning has a 6-second cooldown, so you can squeeze in 3 Lightning Bolts between the next Chain Lightning refresh.
Yeah, they line up very perfectly. As soon as you cast that third one, that Chain Lightning just comes off cooldown, so it's perfectly tailored to be able to do that rotation over and over, as long as you have the...
Yeah, this is the most mana expensive of the rotations, correct?
Yes, so this one is very specific to the guilds that can really take down bosses very quickly. So even with Mana Rune and a major mana potion, I still struggle to pull off this rotation on some fights, not all of them, but if you can get on some fights like say Razor Gore on the very first boss fights in BWL, if you can maintain your mana when phase 2 starts, you can more than likely use this rotation to get as much damage as you can.
Right. So rotation B, Lightning Bolt, rank 10 exclusively. So this is not using Chain Lightning at all. And would you say this is kind of like a medium length fight rotation?
Yeah, I'd say so. That being said, you will actually still be using Chain Lightning, so you will very much want to be paying attention while you're raiding. You can't just be a mage and just cast.
What's up everybody, Executus here, coming at you with a live, classic Elemental Shaman PvP. Let's get right into this. First off, I'll show you guys my gear. Got Circlet of the Mind Flayer, Neck from DM East, 2-2 Shoulders, Cloak from AV, 2-2 Chest Piece, 2-2 Wrist for my 5 set, Locomir with 30 spell power, Red Dragon Scale Protector, some trinkets, Onion Ring, Rag Ring, 2-2 Boots, 2-2 Legs, BWL Belt, and Tier 1 Gloves. I'm still waiting for Tier 2 Belt. That's pretty much the last thing I need. And then Choker from Ragnaros. I'll show you guys my spec. I'm running a very standard Elemental Shaman spec, except points all the way down into NS instead of Elemental Mastery. Alright, got the Zerker here. It's an interesting fight. We've got a bunch of warriors and rogues versus a bunch of warriors and rogues. So I'm going to drop a Wind Fury right away. right away. Just start casting. Big damage. Fat chain lightning. Got a warrior on me. Pop my trinket. I juked this kick, but I still unested myself. I'm gonna chain lightning into an Earth Shock. Big damage on him. Pretty much 1200 non-crit. I'm gonna heal myself up some more. And then I'm gonna kill this gnome. Big damage on the gnome. 1300 totem. That's crazy. I don't have any water. Just want to pop another fire. Drop another fire totem. Notified totem. Chain lightning into Earth Shock. Big damage. Rebuff myself with lightning shield. Nice. Wait for the bleed to take. No! Resin up here. Trying to help out with the flight carrier. Don't know where the deep sea is, but I'm trying to find it. Looks like we got a few coming mid here. Just trying to go for some more kills here. Get up a Frost Shock. Earthbind Totem, Fire Nova Totem. Rebuff myself with Lightning Shield. Dump an Air Grenade. Into a Chain Lightning Earth Shock. Rebuff myself with Lightning Shield again. I'm gonna purge that fab from him. Oh, nice. He killed me there. Big damage. Alright, pushing offense here. I'm trying to go for enemy fire carrier. Got a few warriors with me. Drop a Wind Fury Totem down for them. I think EFC is on E roof. Not entirely sure. Maybe E base. Drop a Wind Fury Totem. I'm gonna kick that pally. Just start casting on this one. Lightning Bolt. Chain Lightning. And this Lightning Bolt on this guy. And do another kick. Nice. Big damage. Hopefully we get the fly cap off of that. I'm gonna go towards Graveyard. Put some water on my action bar here. I did get a repick, so I'll head back towards our base. We got a repick as well as they did. What's nice about running with Locomir is now I start running Frostbrand. Since I have so much spell power, it's very beneficial to start using some of these spell weapon enchants. Well, looks like we got a warrior here, a pally here. I'm gonna hop on this pally. Warrior here, Fire Nova Totem. Juke his kick. Get the Chain Lightning into him. Nice. Alright, our warrior's just about to make it across. Put down a Grounding Totem in case of Hodge from this pally. Just gonna start casting on him. Bubbles. Still nice, I grounded Hodge there. Keep casting on Pally. Purge that Divine Favor. Get up a nice Earth Shock. Help out our warrior. Toss him a heal. I see EFC on the left hand side of the map. Try and get him mount up. I'll leave on my 2% crit trinket because I won't have the other trinket up in time. But I'm going to push around the right hand side. Just start casting on him through this. Oh, that's the wrong guy. Purge the EFC, purge EFC. Get a nice long range nade. I hit him with the nade, but I think his Golden Pending Doom broke it. Get the Fire Nova Totem. Oh, I thought I juked his kick there. Nice, killed one of the warriors. Resisted. Nice. rezzed up here. I'm gonna try and help out our flag carrier. He's in some trouble right now. EFC's right here. Purges freedom. Get a poison cleansing totem down in case they're blind. Then spell blind from warrior here. I'm gonna kick that holy light into an NS chain lightning. Oh, nice. Tried to re-pick the flag. I'm still on. I'm casting on Pally right now. Chain lightning into an earth shock. Nice. Pally should die here. Into a nade. Pally resist. Pop a health pot myself. Resist that. Trinket. Ah. Trinket into a Hodge, but nice. Just pressed up. Their EFC. They passed the flag to a warrior. Now they're running through mid. As well as they're collapsing on our flag carrier. We sapped them. Our flag carrier is kind of chilling right now. This would be a great opportunity to try and get on EFC. Just gonna cast chain lightning right now. Big damage on EFC. Cast on him. We might be able to kill him right here. Nice. Hopefully someone can click that flag. Very well played. And just keep casting on him. Put down Earthbind Totem. Try and ground Hodge here if I can. Kick Pally. Ah, nice. That should be the first flag cap from us though, so when I res up, I'm going to push towards the flag room. Hopefully secure this first flag cap, and then we're going to push offense. Nice. Very well played. Did some crazy damage there. Can't wait for AQ20 to come out. I think AQ20 is going to be a ton of fun. Just anything Oncuron related to me is my favorite part about vanilla and classic. Got a Pally here. Open up with grounding totem. Nice grounded Hodge. Just cast on him. Chain lightning into an earth shock. Nice. I always spam purge before I drop my grounding totem, or drop my grounding totem and then spam purge. This way I can try to purge their judgment buff. If they're really good, they get it out instantly and then it absorbs grounding totem, but if I purge it in time, then I can get Hodge. There's a lay on hands from this Pally, so now I'm going to kill the Pally. Big damage Pally here. He bubbles it. Start casting. Nice. Warrior pummels nothing. Just going to cast on both of them right now. Nice, get a double kill. I love when I kill him from, No, don't get this, Doc. Please, Doc. I'm the one with mana. You're literally at full. I can help out our flag carrier here. Got a Pally. Pushing for the Hodge. I'll just kill this Pally. Spot. New chain lightning, nice. Purge. Spam purge on this priest here. I have nothing. I'm gonna pop in. Sounds me. Nice. Should be second flag cap here. We are in our base. Continue to escort our flag carrier. Hopefully. Look at this flag carrier. Got a bunch of warriors outside tunnel. I think UFC's coming. Nice. Big push. Put down Earthbind Totem, as well as Wind Fury Totem. Make it up a Tremor Totem preemptively. Just start casting on the CFC. Got intercepted on. Pop my Trinket here. Just get an NS Chain Lightning into an Earth Shock. Oh, he popped the Last Stand. Nice. Try and nade on this warrior. Trinket that Hodge. Ah, I could have sworn I juked that pummel. Might have gotten batched. Drop a Fire Nova Totem. Heal myself up. Hopefully I don't get into execute range. I'm going to cast on this warrior. Gonna get some last kills here. Big damage on Pally. Kick that cast from Pally into a chain lightning. Nice. Warrior over here. Mining bolt. Nice. 11 and 6. I died a lot that game, but overall pretty well played. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'll see y'all in the next one.
Oh, look. Another bug for me to squash.
As long as there is a concept of victors, the vanquished will also exist.
Welcome, just put a shield on. I'm coming over.
Oh no, he's gonna destroy him, dude. Dude, yeah, he is destroying this jewel pod.
Good morning, evening, or afternoon, everybody. It's Kagho coming at you with another video. So after the awesome, well-received feedback we've gotten from that Ultimate Nax Rambus guide, I want to take it just a step further and sort of dive into how much tier 3 is going to cost you. Whatever class you are, this actually varies a lot, and then there's something super important that I wanted to let you guys know, and that is something that you can actually start doing right now in order to sort of save yourself some money and time. Now, the materials needed are from the key professions, and they're the biggest elements that you sort of need. It utilizes alchemy, tailoring, and leatherworking to get these, as well as mining in order to get those arcane crystals. And alchemy is what you execute. Now, all of these things have cooldowns and stuff that you need to be aware of. So, if you're going an Arcanite crystal to an Arcanite bar, that takes a 2-day cooldown, and it requires you to have a level 35 alchemist, because it requires 250. I believe they all require 250 in order to do it. Other than mining, because you need to mine rich thorium veins, which I think is 275 mining, but it's not the important. The important part is arcane crystals right now are about 30 gold on my server, and if they are bars are selling for 50 gold, so there's a 20 difference, and that's where you're going to see a lot of these prices. However, I just wanted to make that important clarification there for you guys. And then tailoring for Mooncloth, you can get with 2 fell cloth and going to a Moonwell, and then in order to get cured rugged hide, you have to use a salt shaker, deep rock salt on rugged hide in order to make that. So it's super important for you guys to be aware of, and I just want to make sure you guys knew all that before we take a deep dive into these materials. So first off, for the tier 3 sets, obviously we're going to start with Mage, and I'm on the orc now just to show you guys, and that is Mage tier 3 Frostfire Regalia. Here are the materials, and as a Mage, since we have the cheapest one, it is going to run you 702 gold in order to get all this set. The breakdown was the arcane crystals were 90 gold for 3 of them. The cured rugged hide was 162G for 6 of them. The 21 mooncloth was 378 gold for that. And then the Nexus crystals were 96 gold, or well, minus 24 from that. So they were 72 gold. Sorry about that. They were 72 gold for that. And then when we take a look at Priest and Warlock, they have the exact same materials. They're going to be 3 Arcane Crystals, 6 Cured Rugged Hide, 21 Mooncloth, and 8 Nexus Crystals. That's the difference, and it totals to 726 G. So I'm just going to go through that. Here is the Warlock tier, and here is the Priest tier. Because they're so similar, and the Mage tier is only one behind. As you can see, you can sort of see this halo now that I was showing you guys on the Ultimate video, now that I'm not on my troll. You can sort of see the prices that we were talking about there. It's about 700 gold. And now this is if you were to buy all these materials flat out off the auction. Right now, I just went and checked them, and that's what they came out to be. So next we have Rogues. Rogues actually are a winner for the most expensive, and that's no surprise because Rogues actually have to use gold in order to do that, and that gold is the reason why. So bars right now are 50 gold per, opposed to the crystals, and here are the Rogue materials. It takes 5 Arcanite bars, which